Hello everyone, I'm Catherine Yu and welcome to Oracle Live. Thank you for spending time with us today and hope you're well, staying safe and healthy. My colleagues Justin Grukowski and Winston Wang are joining me on the session today. The focus of today's session is continuous innovation, and that is key to staying ahead and staying on top of all the changes as finance organizations continue to pivot with their business leaders worldwide. In the next 20 minutes, we'll bring you the latest Oracle update on this important topic, including a vision demo and the latest on user experience. But first, let's calibrate what we mean by continuous innovation and why it matters to finance. We understand customers have different cloud journeys. Some are further along and some are getting started. When you begin to move beyond the traditional on-premise ideas and leverage Oracle to automate back office in the cloud, look beyond the necessary needs to simplify processes, innovate in a new finance operating model to free up capacity and create agility for your future plans. For example, our cloud customers use ERP and EPM to reduce the financial close. This allows them to focus on higher value efforts such as scenario planning, even during the trying time. On the technical innovation, Oracle customers run on the next-gen cloud technology. We continue to test and learn all of the latest AI machine learning advancements to increase finance efficiency, to automate and uncover insights. Solutions such as intelligent document recognition, digital assistants, and predictive forecasting are available to new finance users every year. Now, lastly, to steer the business, finance must evolve as an organization, equipped with both types of innovation, business model and technology innovation I just mentioned. What I love about finance is that it allows you to approach business decisions with data, insight, and economic rigor. Now imagine combine all that with an enhanced collaborative culture across the company. The future of finance becomes resilient, efficient, and foundational to steer companies forward. As your innovative partner, we are privileged to shape the ERP vision for the future of finance. There are three broad investment areas as you see here. On touchless automation, we believe AI and machine technology has matured to fully automate transactions into financials cloud to output current view of the business, including real-time actuals and KPI, any day of the month. As a result, the report-to-report process continues to get shorter. This scale of improvement elevates accounting professionals to focus on strategic or advising activities. On continuous forecasting and prediction, we are investing in both the data set and feature engineering for machine learning. The daily actuals are enriched with operational and third-party customer and supplier signals. Better data generate better insights. We also implement feature engineering tailored to specific finance use cases, such as cash forecasting and revenue prediction. FP&A users synthesize machine learning predictions and combine that with their expert judgment to project business performance with high confidence, where you are today and where you need to be at the month end or quarter end. Proactive collaboration and steering, we envision that Oracle ERP and EPM becomes the source of truth for all finance activities. Starting with Oracle Digital Assistants that keep track of your approvals or your account reconciliation tasks or project expenses, and do so in any channels your preference, Slack, Teams, or video. We envision a new generation of finance users equipped with emerging technology to collaborate securely across organization. And this is a vital part of Oracle Redwood experience and ERP investment. With that, I will hand it over to my colleague Justin to show you a vision demo that embodies the future of finance.
Thanks, Catherine. Today I'm going to show you the new Redwood user experience for Oracle's cloud financial applications. And while I'm at it, I'm going to touch on those three key areas that Catherine talked about, showing how our predictions and insights are provided through alerts, so you don't need to dig through hundreds of reports to find variances and issues, how we better enable collaboration across teams, and an example of how touchless processing is used to provide real-time financials data. So what you'll see here is you'll see the same Oracle financial application that you're familiar with all of the analytics, out-of-the-box reports, news and announcements, and easy tailored access to all of the applications that you use today. But it's gotten a significant improvement in terms of the look and feel, the ease of use, the navigation, those kinds of things. So the first thing I'm going to direct your attention to is the headlines here. These are cultivated to provide easy access to all the financial data that you need to get access to quickly, admin and control of your actuals, and these are all proactive. So these are the things that are most important for me to look at on a day-to-day basis. And what you'll notice here is I've got a revenue variance alert. So there's a piece of artificial intelligence that's constantly looking at my revenue. And when it sees a variance, it's going to alert me to this variance and also give me some information about what it thinks has changed. And I can just click on this to drill in immediately and look at the problem. So here I can see it's identified for me that I have bookings in a business line, and those bookings are leading to revenue conversion, but it's at a very slow rate. And if I compare this to some of the other regions, I can see that the other regions aren't having this kind of issue, right? Their bookings to revenue are relatively quick, and this conversion's happening relatively in like a quick 3-day pattern. So what I need to do here is figure out why this is happening, right? Just understanding that I have this problem isn't the same thing as being able to fix it. So the AI, Intelligent Performance Monitoring, has provided a set of alerts for me that give me information about not only the KPI, revenue that's short, but also the dimensions related to it that it finds correlations to. So here it's looked and it said, bookings doesn't give any real variance correlation that's of interest. It's not related to pipeline. It's not related to production, but there is this correlation to projects where as project delays go up and project costs go up, my revenue slows down. I can check this data by looking at year-on-year predictions as well. So I'm not just looking at what the AI is telling me, but I can kind of test this by looking at my year-on-year data. And I can see that absolutely, if I look at where I am from an actuals perspective, 15 days into the month last year, I'm 65% below where I was last year. So this is a real problem that's occurring. Now the system's going to drive me directly into the same sort of analytical view. So it keeps my line of business, it keeps my business units, it keeps my timeline and fiscal year, and it lets me drill into, in this case, all the project information that's related to that revenue variance. So it's taken all the context I had before. I don't need to flip through 75 reports in a booklet. I don't need to plug in a bunch of additional information. It just drives me directly to what I need to see. And I can see here that absolutely, probably in North America, I've got these bookings, I've got large delays in these projects. And since I can see that they're project delays, I'm just going to go over to some of the supporting references that exist here and just drag these in to be able to understand where these variances are coming from. And as I do that, I'm basically moving from a financial view, right, from this real-time touchlessly processed financial view of my revenue into supporting references of projects that support that. And what I see here is actually not even just the projects, but it's the supply chain that's causing these variances. So I'm having problems with parts delivery. As I look through some of these, it's quite obvious that I've got a supplier issue somewhere within here. So I don't know exactly which supplier it is, right? Each of these tasks that's delayed, have a variety of different parts that are incorporated into them. But the system's looked again, and it's providing me some additional hints, right? It's saying it's probably these IoT routers that are causing my overall delays. But I'm not sure, so I'm just going to ask the system to look at all of my part delivery for these projects in North America and show me a view of everything that's going on. And so here I see all of my suppliers for all these projects, and I've connected again that financial view to a project view to a supply chain view. And I can even see some of the annotations that have been put in here in the past, like the supplier has had issues before, they've missed their SLAs. And I can go in and annotate this now and say things like, if I'm looking at the data fox signals that are being sent along and cultivated for the set of suppliers, I can see that this supplier is having a bunch of issues in the market. So I can just annotate this and make some references to help my colleagues prepare to fix this issue, essentially. All right, save and close this. This annotation is available to anyone who's looking at the report in the future. And at this point, we can just go and sort of fix this problem. What we've seen now is this quick view of how these predictive alerts, these predictive analytics, based on all this real-time data flowing through the system, help us identify and fix problems quickly. But now I want to show you a little bit of how this data gets into the system in the first place. So I'm going to take you to look at one of our other components that features sort of these AI subsystems called Intelligent Document Recognition. And what Intelligent Document Recognition does is it takes any kind of document that would get loaded into Oracle Financial Cloud. These could be invoices, this could be bank statements, expense receipts, sent electronically as PDFs or images. Could be things that get scanned in, actual physical paper. And it changes all of them or transforms them into the actual transactions inside the ledgers in our cloud. So we're going to look at one example of this. And what intelligent document recognition does is, since it's based off AI, it gets smarter and smarter over time. And so what I've done here is I've loaded in an image for a supplier that's never sent an invoice to us before. And I've specifically put a few faulty components into it. So it can't figure out what the invoice number is in this image, because with the one that I sent in, I don't have an identifier, a label that says invoice or invoice number, right? So it can see that I've got, a number in the upper right here that could be it, but there's no label. It also has a sales order here, which could be the invoice number, but because it wasn't sure, it sort of ranked these by likelihood that each of these is the suggestion. And then I can click one and it'll fill it in. If both of those were wrong, I could have filled in whatever number I wanted to. Now the system learns from this, and the next time it gets an invoice, now that I've picked that as the invoice number, it's going to automatically use that field in the future. The other thing that I've done here is I'm using intelligent account combinations to define where each of the line items gets accounted for. And I've entered an item that it hasn't seen before here as well. So we've got these heavy duty XL towels with Supremo branding on them. And when I click in, you'll notice that it's figured out what the company, business unit, cost center, all of these things are from the overall invoice, from the supplier information, from its own learnings in the past, but it's not entirely sure what account to place it against. So when I click this open, it's not giving me a list of every account that exists in the system, but it is using its intelligence here to reduce the amount of time it takes me to define the account for this line item. It knows that it's either office costs, cleaning material, or promotion material, just based on the formatting of that line. And in this case, since they're branded items, it is actually promotion material, and I'll select that. The reason this is so important is because entering the data into the system in the first place from a raw invoice perspective, all the rest of these fields takes a decent chunk of time. And we've automated a lot of that just through kind of OCR-like functions. And the AI is making that even faster through these intelligent placements of the fields into these values. So it gets better and better over time. But more than 60% of the time is spent selecting the distributions themselves. And so having this kind of auto distribution mechanism and helping us limit the number of fields or options that go within these fields when it's not sure actually cuts down on that 60% of time significantly. So I'm going to go ahead and submit this. And what we'll see is, it's completed it. The AI has learned if I loaded in another invoice like this in the future or put in line items like this in the future, it'll just auto account for those and I won't have to touch those anymore. Now, let's say that I have some other elements. Maybe these are elements that aren't coming in as invoices, but these are transactions from other systems. So the other thing that we're able to do to give us this rich view is we're able to incorporate data from third-party systems, from external systems. And if you think of the previous example, let's say that the project data wasn't native to Oracle Financial Cloud. Let's say that that's coming from some external system. I want to not just have the accounting entries for those, but in order to do the kind of drill through that I did on what's taking the longest amount of time, making those connections through to suppliers, kind of getting that holistic view of what's going on and being able to drill to the source or the root of a problem instead of just looking at the financial transactions, I need all that supporting reference. And so what we're doing is we're loading in all the supporting details and reference through Accounting Hub and processing those transactions as well through integrations. And if I have any types of transactions that are failing to be processed automatically, this sort of rich overview that gives me a view of the line items that are coming in from source systems right now, kind of my volumes and trends, what systems are sending integrated data to me, I can look at these individual transactions and I can create new rules on the fly. So it's telling me what error is out and it's allowing me to define new rules. In this case, I'm mapping one chart of account to another, and I have to define basically how one of these subtypes in the COA maps to a line of business in my master chart of accounts. So as I define that mapping and save this, the system's going to go ahead and process and flow those error transactions through, rectify all that sort of lost data. And that helps me keep this real-time view of my financials up to date all the time. So hopefully this has been a good little bit of insight into how Oracle financial applications help you get alerts and signals in real time that enable you to identify and diagnose problems more quickly and easily, giving you the ability to collaborate with other people through annotations, so that everyone's seeing not just, hey, we have a problem in some area and I send that email off to somebody, but rather I can keep that data in the context. So my annotations and my notes to other people are trapped with the data, right? And I don't lose that context as I use some third-party communication mechanism. And lastly, you've seen how this touchless processing enables us to bring all this rich data in real time, right? All these supporting references, so that through your financials, you're not just looking at the health of your overall business from a revenue perspective or from an AP or an AR perspective, but you're also being able to drill through and identify the root cause of all these problems. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Winston, who's going to tell you a little bit about how we made the decisions to design the system the way that we did, and how this new user interface helps you be more effective.
Thanks, Justin. Hi, everyone. I'm Winston Wang, VP of Design for ERP, EPM, and Analytics here at Oracle. I hope you like the demo. We're excited about how the user experience of Oracle's products is rapidly evolving. What you saw is just the beginning of the UX designs we're doing, with even more polish and sophistication to come. And in the last year, a lot has happened. The next generation user experience designs we showed you at Open World 2019 are steadily becoming real software code. And the Redwood Design system we debuted is spreading throughout the company. As you probably know by now, Redwood is two things: our Oracle brand system and our UX design system. As a brand system and our corporate personality, Redwood is about being human, sophisticated, aspirational, and intelligent. And you've seen it in our marketing, online presence, and event spaces. And Redwood is also our UX design system that infuses that brand personality into our products. We've made some great progress on both in the last year, but let me focus on the UI system. UI components are the elemental building blocks of user interfaces, and we now have over 120 components and patterns designed, built, and delivered to our internal developers, with more on the way. These components are inherently modular and reusable, letting us rapidly build UIs, interaction patterns, page layouts, and entire workflows faster and more easily than ever. The homepage design you saw in Justin's demo is a great example of this, and you'll see it reused across many of our Fusion applications to come. Another exciting agenda we have is making sure we meet our users where they work today, and that means working on mobile devices, chat, voice, and collaborating with digital assistants, all on top of traditional web applications. At Oracle, we're designing for all these devices, channels, and mediums. We want to ensure users can be connected, productive, and impactful, no matter how they work. We're also working hard on adding advanced forms of responsive design that take advantage of modern large screen monitors and multi-monitor workstations that significantly improve productivity for all types of users across finance organizations. And what's the end result for you, our customers and end users? Highly performant UIs with streamlined workflows for greater productivity, coherent, if not consistent UX designs across apps that are easier to learn and easier to use, high polish UIs with great build quality, fit, and finish, and contemporary UI patterns that are the same, if not better, than the consumer apps in our personal lives. Okay, so now let me say more about how our design thinking and strategy is evolving and connecting to our ERP innovation vision. Last year, Oracle Open World, I talked about how we're designing for our UX and automation. We believe AI and ML-powered automation will be more capable than ever, allowing much of the routine transaction processing work done in finance departments today to be highly automated. This lets users focus on high-value work, which they often have little or no time to do. In this world, user experiences will be about setting up automated systems, managing by exception, and continuously optimizing operational effectiveness and the results they produce. A slide I showed last year was the Automation Forward UX framework with its highly automated, semi-automated, and manual UX layers. This framework is still core to the way we think about and plan the designs of our user experiences. Highly automated UX and semi-automated UX are how we believe users will primarily interact with applications and systems in the future. But the option of using great manual UI is there when users need it or prefer it. And we endeavor to make these experiences as seamless as possible. This year, we're adding more sophistication and clarity to this framework by crossing it with our new three-part ERP vision that Catherine showed you earlier. Let me give you a few examples from Justin's demo to make this framework come to life. For example, highly automated UI for touchless transaction processing will be about setting up and monitoring near real-time automated accounting. You saw that in the Accounting Hub UI presented in the demo. Now let's look at the part of the framework for semi-automated UI for continuous forecasting and prediction. This is all about using AI and ML to help you monitor actuals compared to plan across financial, business, and even external information sources. In this kind of UI, smart notifications and next generation dashboards alert users to key information and opportunities with suggestions on what to do next or facilitating better decision making. The IPM UI Justin showed is a great example of that, with its insights and recommendations that anticipate problems before they become too big to handle. Finally, let's look at the manual UI for touchless transaction processing. This will be about accelerating work and improving productivity while ensuring quality by reducing errors. And the accounts payable UI Justin showed is a great example of that. So I hope you've got a good sense of how our UX design will continue to evolve and become real and support our ERP innovation vision. We hope you enjoyed a look at our innovation agenda and hope to see you online or hopefully in person in the near future. Thanks again.